Ms. Gilbert, have you had anything to drink tonight?
No. I answered this. I'm having a PTSD.
From what?
From what?
Yeah.
Being when I was a child.
I'm sorry to hear that. Why would this trigger
I'm
that?
asking for help. This is not triggering it, but I'm trying to get to my boyfriend's house. Excuse.
So you haven't had anything to drink?
No.
All right, if you would go and step out of the vehicle and make sure you're not under the influence, and we'll have you on your way, all right?
On the 13th of January 2023, a Florida officer conducted a DUI traffic stop on Anna Gilbert. The central legal dispute began immediately. Gilbert refused to exit the vehicle, citing advice from her father, an attorney.
I'm not allowed to.
You're not allowed to? What do you mean? Why aren't you allowed to?
I'm not allowed to at this point.
Why?
My dad's a lawyer,
Your dad's a lawyer?
and I'm not allowed to.
Okay, well, even as a lawyer, he would tell you if you're ordered out of a vehicle that you should that you have to comply.
He's told me otherwise.
No, he wouldn't tell you that you don't have to come out if you're told to.
I mean, he's a piece of shit, so.
That's what it sounds like he would say. Yeah, he's giving you bad information. So if you would go and step out, if you're not under the influence, you'd be on your way.
Okay.
All right, so
But
come on
I'm
out.
not allowed to, so.
No.
That advice was incorrect. In Pennsylvania versus Mimms, decided in 1977, the Supreme Court held that once a vehicle is lawfully stopped, an officer may order the driver to exit as a matter of course. No further justification required. The court characterized the burden on the driver as de minimis, while recognizing a substantial government interest in officer safety. No private legal advice overrides a binding Supreme Court precedent. Gilbert's refusal was not a lawful exercise of rights. It was a refusal to comply with a lawful order, the precise conduct that constitutes resisting an officer under Florida Statute Section 316.1935.
Go ahead and step out.
I'm not allowed.
Explain to me why you're not allowed to.
He'll kill me.
He's not going to kill you. He would tell you, if he was giving you sound legal advice, he'd tell you when you're ordered out of a vehicle to step out. Come on out.
I'm not allowed to.
Last chance.
I'm not allowed to.
All right, come on out. Come on out. Come on over here. Are you able to walk a straight line?
Yes.
Can you balance on one foot?
Yes.
All right. You want to bring your feet together for me? You're going to follow the red light with your eyes only, and you're going to keep your head still. Do you understand?
Yes.
Keep your head still. What's going on? Do we have to call fire rescue?
I stole it.
You passed what?
I tried my best to hold it together.
For what?
I just like, lay down, it's a trick.
Gilbert also invoked her Fifth Amendment right as a basis for refusing the field sobriety exercises. This argument fails under established precedent. In Pennsylvania versus Muniz, the Supreme Court held in 1990 that standardized field sobriety tests are non-testimonial. They measure physical performance, not compelled self-incrimination. The Fifth Amendment does not apply. Florida's implied consent law, under Statute Section 316.1932, further provides that any person operating a motor vehicle in Florida has already consented to sobriety testing as a condition of holding a license. Refusal carries independent administrative consequences. The officer's probable cause basis was established early and clearly. He verbally documented the detection of an odor of alcoholic beverage emanating from Gilbert's breath on camera in real time. Under Florida statute, section 316.193, driving under the influence is established by impairment of normal faculties, not exclusively by a blood alcohol reading. The odor observation, combined with Gilbert's behavior, provided sufficient basis to continue the investigation. When Gilbert briefly lost consciousness during the stop, the officer paused to assess whether fire rescue was required, fulfilling his duty of care before resuming the investigation once she was stable. This is the correct protocol. A medical episode does not legally terminate a DUI investigation.
Wait. All right, Ms. Gilbert, let me explain something, all right? This episode that you're having, while I understand that it might be genuine, we still have an investigation to do.
No, just give me.
The more you're exasperating, I can smell the odor of an unknown alcoholic beverage coming off of your breath. So we got something to do here. And if you got to go to the hospital, we can continue the investigation there. Ms. Gilbert, do you wish to do the exercises with me?
Yes.
All right. If you would, come to your feet, please. I still have to do the pen light test, all right? All right, the instructions are the same as before. Follow the red light with your eyes only and keep your head still. Now place your right foot in front, heel touching toe. When I tell you to begin, I want you to take 9 heel-to-toe steps. Take the series of small steps to turn around, and then take 9 heel-to-toe steps back. Once you start, you don't stop. You keep your arms at your sides and you count your steps out loud.
We respect your time, so we remove the small talk. Subscribe to Crime Scrutiny for fast, no-nonsense body cam.
Do you remember what you were instructed to do?
9 steps.
9 heel-to-toe steps, and then what? Then the turnaround that I showed you, and 9 heel-to-toe steps back. All right, for this next exercise, it's gonna be the one leg stand. All right, you can go ahead and step off the line, or you can just stand. You can just stand right there too. That's fine too.
You guys are over it. Do whatever you have to do.
We're still giving you a chance. What are you talking about?
Shaking your head. I need to.
I'm not shaking my head. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and bring your feet together just like mine are.
I'm sorry to waste your time.
The officer administered all 3 NHTSA standardized field sobriety tests in proper sequence: horizontal gaze nystagmus, walk and turn, and one leg stand. These tests are validated instruments under federal traffic safety guidelines. Gilbert completed 2 and refused the 3rd. Under Florida law, refusal to perform field sobriety exercises is admissible as evidence in a DUI prosecution. The refusal itself becomes part of the evidentiary record, a fact Gilbert's father, as an attorney, should have communicated clearly. The arrest was supported by the totality of the investigation: the odor of alcohol, Gilbert's erratic behavior, her failure to complete the sobriety evaluation, and her documented refusal to comply with lawful orders. All elements for a lawful DUI arrest under Florida law were present.
Not wasting my time. I'm on the clock.
You got me in the middle of.
The middle of what?
You look back in your video footage. I told you.
No, you didn't tell me anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you wish to continue the exercises, ma'am? I don't understand what you're asking for help with.
I want to deal with this.
To deal with what?
PTSD.
To deal with
Rape,
PTSD?
like I just told you.
You didn't tell us that.
Well,
I told him.
I would suggest that you seek counseling for that, but during a DUI investigation isn't the time to deal with that.
It was not during it.
No, I'm
You
saying,
walked up to me and I told you all.
okay, and that's not what I said to you. I said I suggest you seek counseling for that, but during a DUI investigation is not the time to deal with it. This is a DUI investigation.
Look back.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one last time, Ms. Gilbert.
Look back in your footage.
Do you wish to participate in standardized field sobriety exercises?
Yes.
All right, so when you're ready, go ahead and stand up.
Okay.
Stand up.
Please come to your feet.
Okay.
Bring your feet together, hands at your sides. This is going to be the one leg stand. When I tell you to begin and not before then, you're going to raise 1 foot approximately 6 inches off the ground. While you're doing that, you're going to keep both knees straight. You're going to look down at your raised foot and you're going to count out loud. 1001, 1002, and so on until I tell you to stop. Okay, just watch me. Just do exactly what I'm showing you. Both knees are straight. My toes are pointed out. My hands are at my sides and I'm looking down at my foot. This is all you have to do for 30 seconds. Do you see what I'm doing, Miss Gilbert?
I'm not doing this.
You're not doing it? All right. You're being placed under arrest for driving under the influence,
Okay.
and as well as obstructing an officer.
Camera on, right?
Yep, we got 4 cameras out here.
Well, you didn't remember anything, so.
You didn't cooperate, so that's where we're at with that. All right, go ahead and take a seat.
According to court records, the DUI charge was ultimately dropped as part of a negotiated resolution. The court withheld adjudication on reckless driving and resisting an officer without violence. Gilbert was sentenced to 12 months of probation, $746.50 in court costs, a $250 fine, and a $250 donation. The officer receives a B+. He applied Pennsylvania versus Mimms correctly and consistently, documented probable cause on camera, administered standardized tests per NHTSA protocol, and responded appropriately to a medical episode mid-investigation. The grade stops short of an A because one remark characterizing Gilbert's father crossed the line of professional communication during a recorded encounter. Officers are evaluated not only on legal accuracy, but on conduct under pressure. Anna Gilbert receives a C. She based her refusals on legal advice that was flatly incorrect under federal law. She then compounded those refusals across multiple exchanges after receiving accurate corrections from the officer. Gilbert is credited for eventually agreeing to participate in the investigation, for not physically resisting during the arrest, and for de-escalating somewhat after the medical episode. These factors distinguish her conduct from active obstruction, but do not erase the legal consequences of her initial refusals. 3 principles emerge from this encounter that apply to any driver stopped by law enforcement. First, under Pennsylvania versus Mimms, an order to exit a lawfully stopped vehicle is not a request. Compliance is required. Refusal creates immediate criminal exposure, regardless of the legal advice received. Second, field sobriety exercises are not protected by the Fifth Amendment. Refusing them does not preserve rights. It generates admissible evidence of non-cooperation and may trigger implied consent penalties under state law. Third, private legal counsel cannot override binding constitutional precedent. The time to challenge a lawful order is in court, not at the roadside. Physical non-compliance transforms a potential defense into a chargeable offense. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out our second channel, Street Bodycam, for even more police interaction and courtroom content.